Hi, and welcome to SAT with Scrambled Eggs. For each video, we will discuss a certain aspect of the SAT. Today's focus is expression of ideas. So within expression of ideas, we can go ahead and take a peek here. There are two aspects that we want to look at. So rhetorical synthesis and transitions, and these make up about 20% of the questions you'll see in the reading and writing. Today, we're only going to look at rhetorical synthesis. And these questions are affectionately known as the bullet point questions, okay? And these are for the obvious reason that we have these lovely little bullet points, okay? And the biggest tip for these type of questions is a little strange, but I want you to actually go ahead and just ignore the bullet points. Okay, and I know this is very strange and seems counterintuitive because it's a reading and writing exam, but I promise that all of the information you will need is going to be in the question itself, okay? So let's go ahead and take a peek at that question, right? Okay, so let's read it together. The student wants to explain an advantage of microprobes. Which choice most effectively uses relevant information from the notes to accomplish this goal? So if we take a look at that, we'll see that this question is actually broken up into two bits as well, okay? So we have this first part here, okay? And then we also have this second part here, okay? And the second part, which choice most effectively uses relevant information from the notes to accomplish this goal? It's the same for every single rhetorical synthesis question. So yes, it's important, but it's also repetitive. So we already know that information, right? We already know that we need to look for the most effective choice, okay? So yes, we need to keep that in mind, but we can kind of tuck it into the back of our head. The main thing we really want to look at is this first part here, okay? So the student wants to what? The student wants to explain an advantage of microprobes, okay? So only one of these answers will have both of those key factors, okay? So an explanation of an advantage, and it has to be about microprobes, okay? Those are the two most important. So let's dig in. So letter A, despite being heavy, NASA's rovers can land successfully on the surface of Mars. Okay, so let's see if it has both of our key points. So it's talking about what? It's talking about rovers, which is not microprobes, okay? So immediately we already know this can't be the answer because it has nothing to do with microprobes, right? So A, we can go ahead and eliminate right away. That makes it nice and easy. We can move on to letter B, microprobes, good start, which weigh as little as 50 milligrams, could explore areas of Mars that are inaccessible to NASA's heavy wheeled rovers. Okay, so here it's comparing microprobes to rovers, and we know that they weigh less than the heavy rovers, okay, which would be an advantage, right? So we can go ahead and keep B kind of tucked away because maybe this is our answer, but we want to be sure. So let's look at C and D. So letter C, NASA currently uses its rovers on Mars, but microprobes have been proposed as an alternative. Okay, so it does talk about microprobes, which is one of our key factors we're looking for. But does it discuss or explain an advantage? Just says that it's currently using rovers, but these are offered as an alternative, okay? But it doesn't really tell us why they're offered as an alternative case. We have no explanation. So we can go ahead and eliminate C. Letter D. Though they are different sizes, both microprobes and rovers can be used to explore the surface of Mars. Okay, so it does have one key factor, microprobes, it discusses it. It says that they're different sizes, but that they both can be used to explore Mars. So that doesn't really give us an advantage, right? It kind of keeps them on equal playing field. So we can go ahead and eliminate D as well, which left us with our final answer of B being correct, okay? So now that we've seen one example, let's look at another one together, right? So we can be extra sure that this trick works, right? So let's go ahead and take a peek at the next one. And this one, I already went ahead and crossed off those bullet points because, again, we don't really need them. And we're mostly interested in this first part of the question, okay? So let's focus in on that. All right. So the student wants to introduce Paradise to an audience unfamiliar with the novel and its author. Okay, so what two key points are we looking for? Well, we're looking for an introduction, right, to Paradise, which is a novel, and its author. Okay, so those are the two key points. So let's see which one of these answer has both. So letter A, Abdul Razak Gurnah, who wrote Paradise and later was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature, was born in Zanzibar in East Africa and currently lives in the United Kingdom. Okay, so this answer does explain who Abdul Razak is, right? We know they wrote Paradise, we know they won the Nobel Prize, we know where they're from. It's a really great introduction to the author. However, it doesn't really give us much information on Paradise itself, okay? So we don't really know what the book's about. So we can go ahead and cross off A, okay? It only gives us one of the key points. B, many readers have singled out Abdul Razak Gurnah's 1994 book, Paradise, a historical novel about colonial East Africa, for praise. Okay, so this time we actually do have a pretty good idea about Paradise, right? We know it's a historical novel. We know it's about East Africa. We know it was written in 1994, but it doesn't really tell us about the author, right? We don't have an introduction to them. Okay, so we can go ahead and eliminate B. All right, letter C, a much praised historical novel about colonial East Africa, Paradise, 1994, was written by Abdul Razak Gurnah, winner of the 2021 Nobel Prize in Literature. Okay, so this one tells us that we have a much praised novel, okay, a historical novel about East Africa. Okay, so it does give us a nice little introduction to Paradise. So we have Paradise, and then it tells us it was written by Abdul Razak, right? And it tells us who that is. It tells us it's the winner of the 2021 Nobel Prize. Perfect. So we have both there, but let's just be sure, okay? So let's look at letter D. So Paradise is a historical novel about events that occurred in colonial East Africa, Abdul Razak Gurnah's homeland. Okay, so we have Paradise here, right, the novel. We know it's historical. We know that it's about events that happened in East Africa. Perfect introduction. But then it just says Abdul Razak Gurnah's homeland. Well, who is Abdul Razak? We don't know. There's no introduction. So we can go ahead and eliminate D as well, leaving us with that final answer C, okay? So now that we've taken a look at a couple of examples, I want you to try this out yourself, okay? So remember, the more you practice, the more prepared you'll be and the better score you'll receive, okay? So go ahead and try these out yourself and we'll see you next time. Thanks, bye-bye.